Hello friends, my name is Volantis, and today it finally begins. After months of procrastination and laziness, we begin the slowest trek across the cosmos that the universe has ever seen. I'm finally ready to take you on this journey with me like I promised I would do months ago. But hey, in my defense, I was still in the mindset of this challenge. It wasn't that I wasn't working on it, I was just being thorough. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, today's challenge takes place in, you guessed it, Dead Space. Normally you just Usain Bolt your way through this game out of fear, but not today, boys and girls. No, today we put our foot down and say no to setting the land speed record on foot. Today we go from boys to men. Okay, all jokes aside, the Dead Space trilogy is my favorite game series of all time. Yes, even despite the obnoxious love triangle subplot in the third one. We'll get to that sometime. So what makes Dead Space so great? Well, in 2 words, pure horror. This game is scary. Beaten each one at least a half a dozen times and it can still give me anxiety. But if you watched my Resident Evil 4 1000 kills challenge, you know that already. Link in the description below. So anyway, as you likely have surmised by the title of this video, I'm setting out today to hopefully accomplish one simple task and answer one question you probably have never in your life cared to ask. Can you beat Dead Space 1 without running? Now let me explain the rules real quick. Simply put, I can't run. Now in any instance where Isaac runs on his own, I'm not counting it against me. If you need me to be more specific, I'm not allowed to use the run button whenever it's an option. Anytime I do, I have to restart the checkpoint. Oh wait, I can't do that. Okay, I'll have to restart from my last save. That sounds like a great time. Guess I'll be saving often. But anyway, any moment where Isaac automatically runs and I can't prevent it are totally fine. Just no using the run button. But don't worry, I'll let all you precious little ding-dongs know if I do. Got it? Good. Another thing I'm restricting myself on is DLC. I have a lot of special suits and weapons unlocked, but I'm not using any of them in this playthrough. You might see these items in the store and I wanted to clarify. I'm starting fresh and only upgrading what the base game comes with. The reason I'm doing a new game instead of a new game plus is because with fully upgraded weapons and armor, it would make little difference if you could run or not. You would have the means to obliterate every enemy from the very beginning, even if you just stood still the whole time. The only challenge would be environmental hazards like malfunctioning doors, for example, which the difficulty doesn't directly affect, but I want to see if I can beat the intended experience of the game without running. I'm also going to be playing on hard mode. Some people were saying the Resident Evil 4 1000 kills challenge I did was too easy and that it's been done a million times. Well, I tried looking up a Dead Space no running or walking only challenge and I couldn't find anything. So from what I can see, I'm the first person to attempt this.
Oh, good for you!
And besides, how could I possibly call myself a gamer if I can't beat one of my favorite games on hard mode? Hard mode is not necessary for this challenge, and I wouldn't necessarily discredit any attempt to beat it on New Game Plus on easy mode, because theoretically it would still prove that it's doable, but it wouldn't be very impressive, now would it? One last rule, no glitches, cheats, or exploits to get me through this game. I want the run to be fully legitimate if I succeed, so none of that nonsense. So I'm writing some of the script as I go. Most of this introduction has been written before I've even started the game. It's been a hot minute since I last beat Dead Space, so it's likely there's a part where being unable to run will epically ruin me and it's just escaping my memory. I'm expecting hordes of necromorphs and the boss fights to be a real slap in the nuts without the option to run. I won't be able to go Mach 1 on this one, boys, so let's hope I don't regret turning on my PS3 for this.
Bruh.
This game shows me no respect. I just started and immediately it tells me to try running to move quicker. I got a challenge to beat. You can't fool me that easily. So here's the first part I saw myself having trouble with, and I've barely even started. In this first room, you have to load the damage report of the Ishimura. It triggers a quarantine. Too real right now. And a necromorph ambush, which you have to avoid. You don't have the plasma cutter yet, so there's no way to defend yourself. This is gonna be tough, I told myself. But imagine my surprise when I actually made it through this part without taking any damage. I've achieved elite gamer status already. Okay, so right off the bat, I realized I was gonna have to change from my normal strategy for playing this game. I'm used to playing this on New Game Plus on normal mode and obviously not restricting my running. I've beaten hard mode before, but this was already shaping up to be a whole nother beast. As far as enemies go for this chapter, it's your standard slashers with a few leapers mixed in. It's nothing special, so instead I'm going to explain the strategy I've come up with through this first chapter. 1. Obviously go for the limbs. Anyone who's played this game knows they pound that into your head early.
You gotta cut off the limbs! Go for the limbs!
Conserve ammo by dismembering enemy limbs and doing extra damage.
Shoot the limbs. On top of that, I have to target one limb at a time. This early on, 3 shots to cut off the leg, then another couple to cut off the arm seems to be effective. I can't use up too many shots on any single necromorph since they only drop 6 shots of plasma energy at a time, if any at all. So if I'm consistently using more than 5 or 6 shots per necro, then I'm going to be up poo-poo creek without a paddle. 2. Stasis, stasis, stasis. No running is a real handicap for this playthrough, so is having to use a non-upgraded gun early on. So I'm relying a lot on stasis to slow down enemies so I can be more deliberate with my shots. There are only so many stasis packs though, so I'm backtracking as much as possible to use the recharge stations when I can and to avoid having to buy extras. Third thing, I need to save often. As I previously mentioned, there are no manual checkpoint reloads in this game, so if I have to reload a save, I'd rather have to redo as little as possible. And finally, the power nodes. What I usually do is save one power node at all times for the power node doors, and that part of the strat hasn't changed. What's different this time is I'm going to try and save the capacity upgrades for when my clip is low or empty. In theory, it should refill my clip without using any ammo in my inventory. Some of you already know whether or not it does, but I don't, so just shush and I'll figure it out for myself. Alright, so enough of that. I got the tram and the data board replaced without much of an issue, but ran into a bit of trouble on the way back to the flight deck. I got all the way back to the elevator, forgot to refill my stasis,
Dumbass!
backtracked to refill it, and returned to the elevator. This hallway screwed me. One necromorph tries to run away while another one pops out behind you. But once you turn around to deal with the second one, the first one pops out like an asshat. That normally isn't too hard to deal with, but I didn't realize I only had 15 shots left, and I can't run. So of course they made Swiss cheesies out of me and I had to try again. First death of the game, doing great. I backtracked to refill my stasis again, but I was going to try a different strategy this time. I used my stasis to slothify the necros and walked on by slicker than Michael Jackson. I figured it would be better to try and save my ammo since I knew what was next. I took out the necros on the flight deck path and thought I'd refill my stasis one more time, but those nasty zombies were waiting for me. I had a hell of a time trying to kill him again, so I reloaded my save, said nuts to that, and accepted having an empty tank. I bought the level 2 suit and finished up chapter 1. Alright, chapter 2, and boy, stasis would prove much more useful than I thought. It was becoming more valuable than the air in my own lungs. So in the main lab, I got jumped by some half-dead goons. I got my revenge for the last chapter and made Swiss cheese out of the ones on the upper floor. Then to add more insult to injury than an 8-year-old in Call of Duty camping and teabagging his victims, I used the stasis recharge on the necros downstairs. It allowed me to harness the might of Thor and melee stomp their absolutely helpless brains into oblivion, saving some ammo in the process. Taking the time to stasis enemies and bash their brains in is critical for saving ammo, and was going to be a big part of my overall strategy going forward. Now we meet the lurkers. These cute little babies can be a real nuisance when they gang up on you with other necromorphs, but they aren't difficult at all on their own. Luckily, they actually have the mental capacity of a newborn bebe and just stand there while you blast away their tentacles. No horrifying hentai nightmares for me, please. Shoo, buddy, the clinic was fun. I made the mistake of thinking I can pull another Michael Jackson and just waltz on by a necro and it just won't show up in the next room. I made one of the biggest errors a player can make in this game. They used the vents and my dumbass forgot. So imagine my surprise when I got annihilated in the next room. Dead. Try again. Nope. I pressed the run button. Try again. I reloaded the save, slapped some sense into my empty head, and got the brainless boys to feast on some plasma rounds. Your boy found the morgue, slayed the demon inhabiting the captain's lifeless corpse, and took another ride on the tram, ending chapter 2. Challenge still intact. Boy, let me tell you, this chapter sucked. If only I had Tom Segura giving me words of wisdom before I picked up the controller the day I played this chapter.
Today's gonna suck!
I didn't get killed by any necros, but I spent so long trying to get through it without resorting to running and failing the challenge. I'll elaborate on that in just a moment. I wanted to upgrade my stasis before diving into the chapter, but I didn't have enough power nodes to do it. I didn't know it at the time, but that actually ended up being a good thing. There isn't a stasis recharge station during the engine refueling part, but there is a power node. I accepted this blessing from the gods and used it to upgrade my stasis, and the upgrade refilled my tank. Hell yeah! After finishing up the refueling, I had to deal with the tiny bug things. I hate these little bastards. They are pitiful on easy mode, but on hard mode they can be the bane of your existence. The best ways to take them out are with the flamethrower or the contact beam. Coincidentally, I picked up some flame fuel after killing them. I think the game was giving me a sign to buy the flamethrower, so that's exactly what I did. The Infector and Enhanced Slasher in the control room were determined to make my life hell. I used up an ungodly amount of ammo trying to kill them.
Why won't you die?
Okay, so what I said a second ago about trying to get through this chapter without resorting to running and by extension failing the chapter, well, this is it. The mother centrifuge. Just, oh my god! At first it was fine. I didn't let dying bother me. Just like what I thought would happen, I forgot all about this part. And once I made it into this room and was reminded of the difficult task that lay ahead, I knew that avoiding the giant spinning piston would prove to be a Herculean effort, but I was determined to figure it out. No way in hell was I going to fail the challenge this early. So I'm sure you could have guessed that attempt number 1 was a complete and utter failure. The second pocket was way too far away from the first one and I got obliterated. I tried again. I failed a few more times and decided to try walking the opposite direction, but that turned out to be an even bigger oof. There's absolutely no way you can make it going that way. I kept trying, some attempts getting just within a hair's width away from clearing the centrifuge. Attempt 12 was close, number 17 was closer, and 18 was the closest yet. At this point, I knew it was definitely possible, so I couldn't give up. On some attempts, I'd cut it so close to the centrifuge after leaving that first pocket that I'd die, but my body would barely animate. What? But the longer I kept dying and retrying, the more I kept slowly descending into madness. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. My relationships suffered. All that mattered was I get past the damn centrifuge. I tried so many times that I could hear Hammond's voice echoing in the dead silence for days.
You're doing great, Isaac. You're doing great, Isaac. You're doing great, Isaac. You're doing great, Isaac.
Shut up!
So you're probably doing one of two things. Either wondering if or how I managed to get out of this room without failing the challenge, or screaming at your screen right now calling me an idiot because I didn't figure something out sooner. But don't worry guys, I had a stroke of pure genius. That's right, I pulled a Jimmy Neutron on this game's ass. The big revelation? Aiming. Yep. After about a half hour of agonizing failure, I learned that aiming your weapon in a zero gravity area allows you to walk faster. Not by much, but just enough to get past the centrifuge. On my first attempt with this method, I made it all the way around, no problem.
Damn, I'm good!
For your enjoyment, here's a montage of me dying.
Entering vacuum.
After escaping hell, I had to send those awful hentai nightmares packing once again.
Not today, Satan.
Blah blah blah, make an upgrade, killed some zombies, time for engine room fight. I tried to backtrack to get a free stasis refill, but I had none left to slow down the malfunctioning door, so I had to use a stasis pack instead.
Stasis.
You'll get your
Stasis.
when you fix this damn door!
The fight in the engine control room was stressful AF, but your boy made it through without dying. This chapter is finally over. Guys, I don't think I'm ready for this. This chapter has the big beefy boy and, well, I just can't do it. I'm too scared. I'm out of here.
Isaac, what the hell are you doing?
No, I have to man up. I still have 2 other games to live through, plus a challenge to beat. So what kind of man would I be if I quit now? Besides, I'm the guy that got past the centrifuge without running. You didn't forget, did you? Disclaimer alert, disclaimer alert. That clip of Isaac running was not from this playthrough. Footage is from a different file, so relax. Anyway, if I want to kill the brute, I gotta upgrade. I bought the level 3 suit and the line gun too while I was there. I give Hammond a little how do you do, and he says bye bye to a friendly man. I'm sure there will be 0 repercussions from that.
These things don't die easily.
I don't know, man. I seem to be doing okay so far. Brute time. I unloaded 16 metric tons of plasma into the beefy boy's meaty shoulder blades, and he died.
Dead!
Good thing too, I ran out of stasis and killed it just in time. Okay, 1 brute down. Want to see me do it again? I put down the second brute without taking any damage, again. Sorry, just wanted to flex on you. I upgraded my plasma cutter capacity to refill my clip and used my last power node to upgrade the damage since there isn't a power node door in chapter 5. Now before I make my way up to the ADS cannon, I gotta rethink my battle plans. I'm pretty sure I missed a couple power nodes because I should have 11 without buying any extras, but I've used 11 and bought 3 so far. Oops. So from this point on, I'm following a power node guide so I don't miss any more, and I know where all the power node doors are. I won't bore you with the math of how many nodes I need to upgrade everything, but it's a lot. Like, I gotta sell a lot of stuff if I want to make progress upgrading by the end of this thing. I consulted my trusty companion, the Google machine, for advice on what weapons to use going forward. Just about every site imaginable recommended the pulse rifle, ripper, and contact beam, and to stay away from the line gun. Apparently people don't like the line gun because of how small and cheap the ammo stacks are. Alright, fine. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with the internet, but I'll humor you this time. I'm not a big fan of the pulse rifle, but it should help with the bugs and the exploders in theory. Plus, you can hold a lot of ammo for it. The Ripper is recommended for when Isaac is preparing for an imminent gangbang and can go all John Kramer on a bunch of necromorphs at once. The contact beam is recommended for emergencies when Isaac is overrun, and you sell the extra ammo you don't use since it has the highest value of any ammo in the game. Alright, that's finally done. Moving on. On my way to the ADS cannon, I got chopped up by an enhanced slasher. Yeah, the Ripper is proving super useful already. Second try went better, and I made it to the exterior of the ship. For some reason, I never paid attention to this section being zero gravity. I mean, it should be obvious, right, since I'm literally outside the ship, but I'm used to just running through this part since it's a simpler tactic to make it across. But walking makes that difficult, so I used the Michael Jordan method and jumped into the skies. This made it hella easy to get to the cannon. The ADS cannon itself is pretty standard. You literally sit for this part, so walking doesn't affect this whatsoever. It's kind of difficult to not take a lot of damage here, but fairly easy to make it through in general. We wrap things up here and then head back to the tram to end this chapter. Remember how badly I wanted to end my suffering in Chapter 3? Well, that was nothing. Chapter 5 made me want to commit toaster bath. I'll sum this chapter up in one word: Regenerator. Okay, actually the Regenerator itself isn't that bad. Yeah, it mega sucks that you can't kill it, but you can slow it down a lot. The real issue is that this towering beefcake is hardly ever alone. When he's chasing you with his brain-dead buddies, expect to die. I got past him in the first room, no issue. But remember what I said about those little bug things being the bane of your existence? Yeah, they killed me twice here. These things. At least I didn't have to fight them and the Regenerator at the same time, I guess. So we get back to the clinic and, well, it was awful. You have to listen to this clown, and then you gotta fight off a gang of half-baked poo-poo heads that desperately want Isaac's sweetmeat. At first I was worried I wouldn't make it through here and would either have to take the loss in the challenge or just quit altogether. It was rough. This part was really difficult because you're attacked from all sides of the room and you have to kill everything that isn't the Regenerator, while also incapacitating the Regenerator itself to make it through. And this room, much like my brain sometimes, is also pretty freaking tiny. So yeah, I died a few times. I'm not perfect, okay? I finally made it through, then was reminded about the Guardian in the next room, which I almost died to. I had to really sharpen my focus for that because knowing my luck, I'd have to redo the clinic part if the Guardian killed me. That. I got the sample mixed, then started heading back to the clinic. You think it's stressful already with the ass clowns trying to kill you and you can't run? Try doing it when you can't breathe either. I got cocky and tried grabbing some resources, but Fatty Ding Dong blocked the way with his enormous whale body and I got murdered. I tried again, said sayonara to those delicious resources, and restored the oxygen. All that was left to do was send the Regenerator to a frozen hell. And wouldn't you know it, there just so happens to be a cryogenic freezer in this chapter. Huh. Well, I turned this beefcake into a popsicle and sent him on his way. Bye bye, have an ice day. Yeah, chapter 5's all done. Moving on. You know, every time I think I'm past a hard part, I remember that something more stressful is about to happen. This is the chapter I was looking forward to the least. This chapter basically consists of 3 parts: the East Wing, the West Wing, and the boss fight. You deal with a Brute, a Necromorph Onslaught, then the Leviathan, with a couple other tricky bits thrown in there as well. I was honestly concerned I wouldn't have enough ammo to get through it. I decided to try the East Wing with the Brute first. With this challenge, fighting one big enemy is easier than fighting a dozen small ones, so I figured that by doing the Brute path first, I could collect some extra ammo for the ambush later. I came across another cakey wall boy and tried to get a taste of that sweet cake, but he didn't want to share with me. I just wanted a sweet treat, but got my head chopped off instead. How rude. I tried again, had my cake and ate it too, and made a stop by the nearby bench. I upgraded my Ripper's capacity and my plasma cutter damage for the next fight. Dude, the third Brute was so freaking easy with my upgraded plasma cutter. I barely even had to move. Don't mind me, just on my way to the last poison pod. Ah! After finishing the East Wing, I upgraded my Ripper damage and put a power node into my rig. Now onto the West Wing. Should be easy. Damn it. Alright, second attempt, and I ain't f***ing around this time.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
I got through the horde of pee-pee poo-poos and came to the air filtration room. I completely forgot about this part, and it looked like I was gonna have a hell of a time getting through it. Okay then. I got back to the safe room and stocked up on extra ammo for the boss fight. Oh god, this is my hentai nightmare. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your main event for the evening. In the blue corner, weighing in at 195 pounds of pure sweet meat, Isaac Clark.
Fuck you! And fuck you, Michael!
And in the red corner, weighing in at 10 kilotons of pure squishy nightmare fuel, the Leviathan. Boy, was this fight tricky. Without the option to run, dodging the tentacle slams can be challenging. The Leviathan slams them down, then sweeps them across half the room, so if you don't time your 0G jump just right, it can still hit you. The best tactic is obviously to destroy each tentacle as quickly as possible before it even has the chance to give you the smashy smash. After you slice off the beast's tentacles, it'll start spitting these exploding pus rock things at you. These things are a freaking death sentence. I did alright at first, but I ran really low on plasma energy, and the pulse rifle and ripper don't do diddly damage on this thing. I spent more time trying and failing to dodge the exploding pus rocks and healing myself than actually damaging the thing. I kept shooting its, brain thingy, but it just wouldn't die. Eventually it spawned 3 more tentacles, and the combination of trying to destroy them while also dodging the pus rocks just proved too difficult, and I bit the dust. Before trying again, I swapped the Ripper for the Flamethrower since the Ripper is less than useless here, and I bought a couple power notes to upgrade my rig health. That way I should be able to take another hit or two if needed. I gave it a second and third attempt, but both had absolutely horrendous starts, so I just reloaded the save twice to try again. Before trying for a 4th time, I consulted the Google machine again to see if the Leviathan had any weaknesses, and it totally does. The Flamethrower. More specifically, the Flamethrower's alt fire. Yeah, none of the other sites I looked at during Chapter 4 mentioned the Flamethrower being a beast against the Leviathan. Thanks, Internet! I entered the ring once more to hopefully melt the Leviathan's stupid little pee-pee brain, and it worked like a frigging charm. I used the contact beam to blow its freaking tentacles to smithereens, and used the Flamethrower's alt fire to melt its face harder than a heavy metal guitar solo. The Flamethrower really came in clutch here. I took a few hits in the process, but this method put Mr. Squidward down for good. You can't tell, but I was jumping for freaking joy, even though the game cheaps out and doesn't reward you for beating the Leviathan. The first boss fight was done, along with the first half of the game. Alright, so I'm going to end this part here. By the time you watch this, part 2 will be close to finished, so I'll be uploading it soon. I just want you to know, I don't go into making these videos with the intention of milking them for 2 or more parts. I start writing the script, and if I feel like it's really long, I should split it up. I don't like these videos to be longer than 15 to 20 minutes or so splitting it into 2 parts is how I get around that. Makes the content more digestible that way, you know? It's just really convenient that this game has an even number of chapters and the halfway point is a boss fight. But anyway, like I said, part 2 will be out soon, if not already. If you liked this video, click like and subscribe so you don't miss part 2 and other future gaming videos when I upload them. That's all for now. See you scrubs in the next episode.